They were the first black military aviators in the U.S. Army Air Corps. That's before it was the Air Force. The Tuskegee Airmen flew more than 15,000 individual dispatches in Europe and North Africa during World War II. Now today, organizations like the East Coast chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen are working to get young people, minorities, interested in aviation. We are honored to have with us tonight Gabriel, who's the president of the East Coast chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated, and Colonel Charles McGee, who is a Tuskegee Airman himself after having flown more than 400 missions dating back to World War II. And Isiah Peyton is here with us, a 2018 graduate of the Youth in Aviation program. First to you, Colonel McGee, it is an absolute honor and a privilege to have you here. Thank you so much for your service. I have half a mind to blow off these other guys and my producers and spend the remainder of the show just talking to you about some of your exploits, but that's not why we're here. I want to go back to the 1940s, and I want to go back to the time that you were an engineering student at the University of Illinois. Did you ever think that was in the realm of possibility that you could be an aviator in the U.S. military?
No, I really didn't. And I got into aviation because I was avoiding the draft.
Okay. It worked out well for you, though. You enlisted, and then you were able to join the Tuskegee Airmen after that.
Yeah. I was able to become a pilot taking the exams and went directly into training as a cadet. And after my first flight, I knew I'd made the right decision.
Did you ever have an interest in aviation, or did you maybe have an interest in it and think it was just something that was unattainable?
I'm not one of those that had that interest, but I was certainly willing to serve because of what was going on at the time and our participation in World War II. But after my first flight, as I say, I knew I was hooked.
You were hooked.
I
you were
loved aviation. That's what I like to pass on to young folks. Find what you like to do and go for it.
And I think one of those young men is sitting right next to you here. Perhaps you've had a large influence on his life and his career. Just one more question for you here before we move to Isiah next to you, is that what have you told younger students who are coming up in aviation? How do you get them to understand and love it the way you do? And do they understand that it's a little easier for them now because of the path that you blazed for them?
Well, I'm not so sure they understand anything's easier in this day and age, but I just tell them to find their talents, believe that they can, don't let anybody tell you can't do something. And of course that certainly was what was ahead of us, saying because of our happenstance of birth, we couldn't do anything technical. We can do it, and that's what we push on to them. And believe that you can and go for it.
And you did it extremely well, better than most, I would say. Isiah, you are a 2018 graduate of this Youth in Aviation program through the Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated. How did aviation get its hooks in you?
I've been interested in aviation since my dad. He's been talking about it, and his co-worker is actually an organizer of this program, and they were just talking about how I've always loved aviation, how I've always wanted to fly a plane, F-18. So when she gave me the opportunity to join this program, I just knew I had to do it.
So what's the path that you're on? Have you been flying? Do you have a license? Is that kind of where you're going?
I have about 32 hours right now, and you need 40 for your private pilot's license. And throughout this program, they've given me the opportunity to get those hours. I've never even known I would have this opportunity if it wasn't for this program. And I'm extremely grateful that I've been able to get this far.
And what do you want to do?
I would like to be an airline pilot and aerospace engineer. I'm going to Florida Tech to study those majors, and I'm doing their flight program, and this program is giving me an amazing advantage.
Tremendous. Yeah. Mr. Gabriel, your organization has opened the door for so many young people, minorities, to be able to get access to aviation. I mean, graduates of your program are flying KC-135s, they're in the Air Force, they've gone to the Air Force Academy. Yeah. So what are you doing to get the word out that aviation is something that's attainable for today's minority youth?
Well, first of all, Adam, let me just thank you for having the East Coast chapter on, and you're part of that puzzle that we're solving. You're actually opening the door so folks can know of the illustrious service of Colonel McGee, who's an inspiration to us all, who for many years had the record for the most combat hours in the U.S. Air Force, 3 wars, World War II, Korea and Vietnam. And he represents the new generation, for whom, of course, the opportunities they possessed. Colonel McGee's generation pried open Freedom's Gate, by their service in World War II. The Tuskegee Airmen East Coast chapter is the oldest, the foundational chapter of the entire process. Started in '73 here in the DC area. We meet every second Saturday at the College Park Aviation Museum conference room. But most of the offices have been traditionally Air Force. Air Force, highly disciplined organization, and I guess in a sense closed and not like in a regular sort of non-governmental nonprofit. But we're looking for students. Isiah knows we start at age 15. We take folks from age 15. Flight school, ground school, cost you $15,000 in the private market. Zero because we raise funds.
Right.
Saturday, May 25th, we will be at the Harborside Hotel where we'll have aerospace scientist Robert Rashford, who worked on the Hubble and is working on James Webb. He built a single-person spaceship right in Prince George's County. He will be a keynote speaker. So that breakfast, which will raise funds, you're having us here this evening, is all part of a matrix of information sharing that will allow us to pursue the heritage preservation of the legacy of the airmen that Colonel McGee so nobly represents, as well as the STEM education, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That's what they needed to succeed, and that's what we need in the 21st century, and we provide that in our programs.
I want to ask you just one final question. We have to be a little bit quick about it. When black students in Prince George's County look to the skies and they see some of the finest fighting aircraft and technology that's ever been developed, when they look up and see F-16s, F-35s, KC-135s, because they're all coming in and out of Joint Base Andrews there, what is your organization doing to tell that kid who's looking up at that plane that you can do that too?
By having our programs and by having events like the fundraising breakfast on Saturday. I want to say Yvonne McGee, the daughter of Colonel McGee who brought him here, is the director of the Youth in Aviation program. And on Saturday, we will have the instructor for STEM education in the county public schools.
Gotcha.
For the first time, she will be the MC. That's Dr. Felicia Martin Latif.
Now,
she will be on stage with us. Hopefully, she can help us get the word out.
Colonel McGee, your daughter's a pilot too.
She did have it.
That's fantastic. Listen, thank you guys so much for coming in. Really appreciate the talk, and best of luck with the organization.
Adam, I hope you can have us
success.
back. Indeed.
Absolutely.
Thank
All
you so much.
We'll be right back.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.